Bellator MMA comes to Madison Square Garden. That's on Saturday, June 24th. We have Sonnen versus Silva and Fedor versus Mitrione. Once again, here in New York City at Madison Square Garden, and it'll be broadcast live on pay-per-view.
Let's bring the fighters to the stage. We'll start with our first of our two double main events for the night. Following will be our two title fights. So we'll bring all of the fighters that are in attendance, and we'll bring them to the stage first, starting with the gentleman who's always outspoken and often quotable. He's a veteran, a three-time world title challenger, and he's already back inside the Bellator cage from West Linn, Oregon. Would you please welcome the American gangster, Chael Sonnen? And we'll have details on his opponent in just a moment, but first we'll move on to our second of our scheduled main events. This will be in the heavyweight division. The first fighter that we'll welcome to the stage, a power puncher with all but one of his wins by way of stoppage. He's 2-0 with two incredible stoppages inside the Bellator cage so far. He comes to us from Springfield, Illinois. Please welcome Matt Mitrione. And his opponent brings a legendary career with many titles and many championships. He comes to us from Starosko, Russia, and at long last, he makes his Bellator debut. Would you please welcome the last emperor, Fedor Emelianenko. And we'll now go to our first title fight. It'll be five-minute rounds for the Bellator welterweight world championship. The first fighter making his way to the stage, one of MMA's most impressive and most exciting welterweights, he is now set to make his Bellator debut, and he'll do it in a world title challenge. He brings his 18 victories, 11 stoppages as he makes his debut here in Bellator MMA. Would you please welcome from Riverside, California, Lorenz the Monsoon Larkin. And his opponent, the champion, of course. Last November, he regained the title by knocking out the man that took it from him. And now he's back to defend his second run for the first time. Would you please welcome one of the most prolific strikers in Bellator MMA, making his first defense of his second title run. He is the reigning and defending two-time Bellator welterweight world champion from Goiânia, Goiás, Brazil. Please welcome the Phenom, Douglas Lima. In 2011, a relative unknown lightweight with a record of only 8-0, all but two of his wins coming by way of stoppage, earned a world title shot, shocked the world as an underdog. He captured the lightweight gold, and in the process, one of Bellator's most spectacular fights to date. On June 24th, a relative unknown lightweight with a record of 7-0, all but two of his victories by way of stoppage, has earned his title fight, and he'll do it inside the Bellator cage. Would you please welcome from Eugene, Oregon, this is the undefeated challenger, Brent Primus. And now the champion in this lightweight world title fight. In his 16 professional victories, he owns 13 finishes, 9 of which coming in the very first round. A 7-year Bellator veteran. In his second title run, he makes his second title defense. Would you please welcome from High Ridge, Missouri. This is the two-time reigning and defending lightweight world champion for Bellator, Iron, Michael Chandler. And we're missing one fighter. One fighter could not make the travel to attend today's press conference live, so he'll be joining us via live feed in just a moment. He undeniably and undoubtedly has fought some of MMA's most prolific and most memorable fights. In many fans' eyes, he is one of the very best, and he is now making his Bellator debut at long last, getting the fight that he's been looking for. He brings his 35 wins and 28 stoppages and prolific fight style to the Bellator cage. Would you please welcome, we believe we have him via live feed from Sao Paulo, Brazil. This is the axe murderer himself, Wanderlei Silva. And with that, we have all of our fighters in attendance on the stage. We will open it up to questions from the members of the media. As a show of hands, if you would please to start things off, we'll try to get a microphone out to the person asking the question, and then we'll have each fighter address the question. Mr. Slusser and Mr. Coker also available for questions as well. Scott, you got to come back up. So again, members of the media, a show of hands for your first questions.
I have a question for Wanderlei. Can you hear us, Wanderlei?
Yeah.
Hey, Wanderlei, can you explain why you're not at the press conference?
Because I'm trying to beat somebody on 24 June.
And so you asked Bellator if you can miss it, and they said yes.
Yes, yes. I'm focused on training to back to 100%.
And for Chael, yesterday we talked about this, and you said you didn't mind all that much. But now that you see everyone's, opponent here, and it's a press conference at MSG, is it a bit of a bummer not to be next to Wanderlei?
It annoys me because I feel like Wanderlei got his way. I mean, do you understand, Errol? You and everybody else waited in the weather. You came to the press conference. Wanderlei, it looks like he found a bathroom as a backdrop in the men's shelter he's living at in Rio and got somebody to point a cell phone at his face. I find it a little bit weird. You act like you just asked him a question. You just talked to plexiglass with a little bit of technology in it, and then he gave you an answer. Do you understand we're beaming him in via satellite, Ariel? We could have used that satellite technology to point it somewhere in the world, depict and predict weather patterns, and protect people's lives. Instead, we've got Wanderlei Silva coming to us from a men's shelter bathroom in Brazil. Yeah, man, I find it a little bit weird.
I think he's getting it translated.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to say in response to that, Wanderlei?
Man, just talk all the time, just talking in the fight. I hope you're training more than you talk because you be like you be in the last fight. Man, I'm gonna beat you so fast.
All right, well, let's just talk about that. Who killed my mic? Let's just talk about that for the second. First off, I made Tito Ortiz scream tap in less than 60 seconds. And while I suspect that you're going to be tougher than him, I still get you out of there inside of the first round. Before I get accused of hogging the mic, Wanderlei, every time you talk, all I hear is garble, garble, garble. And I want to remind you, when you address me in public, you will do it proper. It's garble, 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 Mr. Sonnen. Thank you. Okay. It's respectful. Say it with me, Wanderlei. Mr. Sonnen. Please, respectfully, please. Try it one time. No.
Suck my balls.
No. That is not what I said. Try it again. Mr. Sonnen.
I'll ask Lorenz a question as well. Lorenz, when you signed with Bellator, did you know that this was on the table, or did they approach you with this opportunity after you signed?
No, no fights was in the works. I guess we were just focused on, getting the deal done. And then not too long ago, I got the call, and they asked me if I was interested, and I just said that's a no-brainer. I've been wanting to fight. It's been a while since I fought, and now I'm here. Who would say no to Madison Square Garden?
Were you surprised, though, that this was the first fight?
Oh, yeah. I was pumped, but, I was surprised that I wasn't thinking about that in the slightest bit. So, once when it was offered to me, I was ecstatic. I was pumped, and I'm going to be ready, June 24th.
Thank you.
You lost the January fight because you had about a 3-year break. Do you think Wanderlei will have the same, situation when he goes against you?
It was a problem for me. They talk about ring rust. I didn't think it was a real thing. I could tell you, for me, it was a real thing. And I imagine that he will stumble a little bit. Yeah. I mean, if I was to give him some friendly advice, a lot of it's just the speed, like in sparring. It's just a little bit of a different speed. But I've been around Wanderlei. I did The Ultimate Fighter with Wanderlei. I watched him train hard every single day. So I can only speak for myself, but I can tell you for me, it was real.
Question from Matt Mitrione. Matt, this is sort of your rebound opportunity after that canceled fight referenced. Just for my own edification's sake, how are you feeling today? And was there any sort of identified, I know what the medical cause was at the time that scuttled the fight, but was there anything underlying that created it, some sort of larger issue to address?
First of all, I feel fantastic. Fedor, thank you very much for accepting the fight again. I really appreciate it. It's a massive opportunity, so I'm really thankful for that. That was first. Second, yeah, kidney stones, man. It just happened. I don't know where it came from. I don't know why it did. I passed a couple of them a few times before, and this one, when they finally called the fight, they said, okay, we have to get a CAT scan to kind of see what's really going on here. The stone had still not passed. It was still in my tract somewhere. And they said, okay, so we finally got that one to pass. In the CAT scan, they thought they found 6 or 7 stones in my right kidney, none in my left. When I got home on Sunday, on Wednesday, I was in a doctor's office. Dr. Amy Krambeck, who's one of the best kidney stone doctors on the planet, and she's out of Indianapolis, where I live. She went in, went into my body through my pee hole and found 24 kidney stones. And they removed them all. It was a miserable experience, and as a memorable thing for me, she left a 26-centimeter stent that I got to pull out 4 days later. Miserable experience. We don't know what caused them. She said initially it seemed like it was serial dehydration, but I don't cut weight, so I don't know what that would have been. Probably from my years when I was younger, like hanging out, partying, drinking a whole lot, going to practice still drunk or hungover, and then drinking again when I was way too young, kind of a thing. Probably just being irresponsible and not having the cleanest diet. But obviously having 24 stones, they've been there for a long time. I was just lucky enough not to pass them at the worst time ever in the history of ever, which this one did, and that's what happened. But I feel great, man, other than that.
Question for Michael Chandler, Snapchatting over there. What up? Michael, you have talked a lot about, yes, of course, you have a title defense in front of you. It's the most important thing. We know the drill, but I'm still wondering if you're still eyeing some fights outside of your weight class for 2017.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm in this sport to get the biggest fights I possibly can. Case in point, we're here at Madison Square Garden. This is an amazing opportunity against an amazing opponent, a guy who's young, who's hungry, a guy who is just 5 years ago, I was in his exact same position. You're young, you're hungry, you're undefeated. You get the opportunity to fight the world champion, a guy, and stamp your name in the ranks in the world. So I know I have a tough test ahead of me. I know I have a tough opponent in front of me and on a very big stage, but I'm large enough to fight up there at welterweight or other guys. I know I talk to Scott all the time. He's assuring me that he's continuing to go after guys, and I have a lot of guys on my radar that I would love to fight. And you're just going to keep seeing more and more guys coming over. Lorenz up here. I mean, you're seeing guys come over. So it's exciting. It's an exciting time to be in my position. It's an exciting time to be fighting for Bellator. And June 24th is going to be another night for me to stamp my name on the lightweight division. And then we'll see where we go from there. But I definitely have aspirations of possibly going up or calling out other guys in lighter weight classes. I know Patricio Pitbull hates me with a passion. So that's a good fight possibly. So we'll see. Either way, I'm excited.
Question for Fedor. So you're obviously at the far end of your career. You've got how many fights left, do you think? 3, 5, 10, 2?
У вас уже карьера очень долгая. Сколько вы останется вдвоем? У вас 3, 5, 4?
Перед тем, как что? Пока я себя чувствую хорошо. У нас есть понимание со Скоттом. Контракт заключен на 2 года, на 2 боя с перспективой 3. Дальше будет видно. У меня 2 years, 2 боя. С перспективой на 3, да. Если все пройдет благополучно, мы продолжим наше сотрудничество.
George Willis, New York Post. Just wanted to ask a question of Brent, since we haven't heard from you. Just what you think this stage can do for you and your career.
I mean, I think you can do everything. You know, this is the biggest opportunity of my life. I feel. You know, I want to thank Scott Coker and Bellator. You know, I'm fighting in Madison Square Garden in New York City with some of the legends, the greatest legends in the sport, and you know, it's a big time for me, and I can't wait to go out there and show the world, you know, why I'm here.
What do you feel like you bring to the sport in terms of not only your talent, but your personality?
Yeah, you know, I know I'm kind of new. Not a lot of people don't really know me. You know, I think, you know, I came from a troubled past a little bit, and you know, I think that drives me and brought me to where I am. And you know, yeah, you know, I just can't wait to go out there and you know, show everybody why I'm here, and go win that belt on the 24th.
And Mr. Lima, I'd ask you the same thing. What do you think this stage fighting in Madison Square Garden can do for you?
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for sure. I'm very happy, you know, to fight such a tough guy like Larkin. I think this is gonna be the best fight of the card, you know, the most exciting one. Even though we're fighting around, you know, guys like, you know, them, you know, legends. And man, just really looking forward to it. I'm gonna make the most of it.
And what do you feel Bellator brings to the table compared to some other promotional companies?
I mean, Bellator just treat people right. You know, I've been with them for about 8 years, almost 10. I've been treated very good, and I just loved it. You know, I never thought about fighting anywhere else. Just thankful for them.
This question is for Scott. The last time Wanderlei and Sonnen were scheduled to fight, Wanderlei denied the drug test, and Sonnen failed the drug test. Are you guys gonna do something special about or something about this issue?
Yeah, I mean, I think that when you look at our policy is to work with the athletic commission and to abide by their testing. I mean, Chael during his last fight was tested. How many times were you tested, Chael? I mean, it's 5 times he was tested by the state athletic commission, and when we you know, huddle up with the New York State Athletic Commission, we'll find out what they want to do and we'll make it happen.
Mr. Sonnen, how does it feel that you, even if you passed or not the drug test, you actually took it and your opponent didn't? What does that say to you for your opponent?
Sounds like an advantage for old Chael P. One more for the bad guy, and I did take it. And you know, you're not really telling the whole story. Everybody wants to talk about the things that they found in my system, but nobody gives any credence to all of the things that they missed. So I kind of feel like that's a pessimistic approach. Kim Stumbler will do her job, and when she calls me, I will have 24 hours to report. I will report every time. Those are the rules.
Hey, just to let you guys know this also, I got drop tested when I was in Houston. I was doing some promo stuff for the fight Fedor and I were supposed to have in February, and the California State Athletic Commission called me up, surprise drop tested me when I was in Houston at the Super Bowl. So just letting you know, everybody's doing their jobs. Everybody's getting drop tested on surprise tests where they have no idea, they can't run, they can't do anything about it. So good for them. I was really happy that I got tested. Actually, I thought it was great because after I win, I look forward to being like, hey, look, everything was clean, everything was good. So I think it's a really good thing. Good job on the Athletic Commission's part.
Matt, they say that one of the dangerous men are the ones that are most quiet. What do you think about that?
I think Fedor's a badass. That's what I think. That's awesome.
I wanted to ask you, like, you're an exciting fighter. You're quick. You're nimble for your size, but you're also what, 38, 39 years old.
38. Yeah.
Fedor. Everybody's saying Fedor is you know, this is the last end of his career. He's shot, so to speak. You know, those are some people's words. You, on the other hand, you don't seem like that. How far in the future do you anticipate fighting?
Well, I don't know, man.
Age is just a number. I mean, your body tells you, you know.
I really believe that the body becomes his credo, right? Like, right. I don't warm up. I just go, right? Like, and my body always has to be ready. And I genuinely believe, and I think my track record, professional track record can validate that I'm a genetic goon. Like, there's not many made like me. Yeah. And so, like I joke around, but I partially believe it. Like, I'm a Highlander. Like, I don't ever get sick. My body's incredibly healthy. It fixes itself if something goes wrong most of the time, and it never lets me down. This one here, I postponed something, but it didn't let me down. I can still do my job. I can still do everything I need to do. So it sucks at certain points, but like I said, I'm a Highlander, and I just gotta. Maybe he's my other match. Maybe only be just one, right?
Yeah, but like people put that out there, like, oh, he's, you know, blah 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 blah. It's all relative to the person. I mean, look at Randy. Randy fought into his 40s and whatnot. I mean, you have other fighters that are physically durable and have the physical prowess that you do, where there's no real time limit as far as how long you can fight into the future.
Right. I believe I can fight it as long as I want to fight. And that's another thing too. Is like I'm not a traditional heavyweight, right? Like you said, I'm nimble, I'm athletic, I'm long, right?
Yeah.
And I have I think even still, the second highest punch defensive rate or striking defensive rate in UFC history, I think. I don't take many punches at all, and I'm nimble, and they miss just enough. Like Conor McGregor, right?
Yeah.
Conor is exceptional because he is an aggressive counter puncher. He moves just enough to evade to get you to elongate and stretch yourself, and then he counter punches over the top of it. I'm the same way. I'm an extremely aggressive counter puncher, but I have an offensive game if I need it.
And you have a heavyweight touch of death, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'd love to be able to figure that out.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing. It really is. Give us a prediction for the fight coming up. I know, can you specify as far as round or anything like that?
I can tell you what's going to happen is that I'm going to punch Fedor in his face. I'm going to put shins on his body and I'm going to put hands on his face. I'm going to dig in that liver if it's exposed, and I'm going to be mobile. If I stand in front of Fedor, then I'm going to have a rough night. If I move around and make Fedor have to judge where my body is going to be and the targets he wants to touch are going to be, it's going to be a short night for him.
But you don't think you're quicker? You wouldn't give yourself the advantage in terms of speed?
I give myself an advantage in speed and quickness against anybody in the world.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. But if I stand in front of him, I'm not using my speed and quickness.
So you go.
I'm just a rock'em sock'em robot.
Right. In and out then, sort of strategy?
That's how I fight, buddy.
Yeah, it makes sense. Thanks a lot. Good luck on the 24th.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Carson. I appreciate the effort. Thank you.
No problem.
Hey, what was your reaction to fighting Fedor?
It was like, holy shit, that's awesome. I mean, really, that's what it was. It was fantastic. It was. It's a fight everybody wants, right? And I was fortunate enough to snag it up.
Okay, and where are you training out of?
I live in Indianapolis. I live in West Lafayette Indiana, which is Purdue University. So I train out of there. I train out of Indianapolis, and I go down to Combat Club down in Lantana, Florida, with Coach Henry.
And you talked about McGregor. Do you ever think that fight with McGregor and Mayweather? Well, you can't really predict. Do you think that would ever happen, and how would you perceive that? Could he?
Will it ever happen? Who knows? Maybe. Hopefully, for the sport, I think it'd be great. For boxing, it might be the touch of death. But as far as how it would go, I think it'd be a remarkably boring decision. I think Floyd will win just because he's so defensive and elusive, and I think there'll be lulls in action. Like I said, Conor's a very aggressive counterpuncher, and Floyd doesn't throw punches. So I think it'll be a remarkably boring fight.
And yourself, give a little bit about your style.
I'm long, athletic, creative, unorthodox, remarkably handsome, durable, and awkward.
And just say a shout out to your fans.
What up, fans? Go to Matt Mitrione, both on Twitter and on Instagram, if you want to see me.
We're here once again with the greatest MMA fighter, pound for pound, of all time, Fedor Emelianenko. Once again, how you doing? Welcome to New York.
Thank you. Спасибо большое. Чувствую себя хорошо. Очень рад быть здесь.
Thank you very much. I feel great. Happy to be here.
Now tell us about this fight. You're going up against Matt Mitrione, a big guy who's known more as a striker, but he played American football. What are we going to expect in this fight? Are we going to see more striking, or do you think you're going to be able to take it to the ground and submit him?
Что вы ожидаете о предыдущем бое с Мэттом? Это будет бой на полу или что вы ожидаете от этого боя? Он в прошлом бывший футболист американский футболист. Что вы об этом думаете?
Ну, все будет видно во время боя. У меня были бойцы, которые очень хорошо владели ударной техникой стоя. Ничуть не хуже, чем Мэтт Mitrione. Поэтому все будет видно в бою, что он сможет предложить.
Time will show. We will see what happens in the fight. I've had previous fights with strikers with whom I did very well. But again, time will show. We'll see what happens.
Tell us about why you signed for a fight in Bellator now that you came back. I know you fought in Ryzen, you fought in the European Fight Nights group. Why in the United States with Bellator, of all companies?
Почему вы подписали контракт с Bellator? У вас была возможность подписать контракт со всеми, в принципе, по всему миру. Почему именно Bellator?
Ну, со Скоттом у нас давние хорошие отношения.
I have a long relationship with Scott. I have a long and strong relationship with Scott.
К тому же в Японии я уже провел бой. В Америке еще нет. В Америке еще... То есть после своего возвращения я еще не бился.
I already had a fight in Japan, and upon my return, I haven't had a chance to fight in America.
Do you expect to fight again in Japan or in Russia or Europe?
Вы ожидаете каких-то боев в Японии или в Европе?
Ну, сейчас я готовлюсь к июньскому бою, к нашему июньскому бою.
I'm getting ready and prepared for the fight coming up in June.
In America. А что будет дальше, будет видно.
And we'll see what happens next.
Now, you're 40 years old now. You had retired once after a great career and then came back for a couple of fights. How long do you think you're still going to be actively fighting in mixed martial arts?
Вам уже 40 лет, а вы один раз уже ушли в отставку и вернулись. Сколько вы думаете, у вас осталось времени проводить бои до следующей отставки?
Сколько Бог даст.
As much as God gives.
And any message you have for your fans? You have so many fans around the world. I know people are excited to see you back, excited to see you fighting in New York. Any message you would have for the fans?
У вас очень много болельщиков по всему миру. Вы хотели бы что-то им сказать?
Я бы хотел, конечно, поблагодарить за то, что они меня поддерживают. И попросить.
First, I would like to thank them for being there for me.
Я буду стараться победить с Божьей помощью. Для них.
With God's help, I will try to win this fight for them.
Thank you. Spasiba. Thank you. Thank you. Good to see you again.
A prediction on Silva?
Me versus Wanderlei Silva? You give me a prediction. How do you think Wanderlei Silva's going to... Wanderlei Silva wouldn't even show up at the press conference. I told the media 3 weeks ago I will be fighting Wanderlei the next time I see Wanderlei, and instead of coming to Madison Square Garden, he hid out in a bathroom at a men's shelter in Rio. Who do you think's going to win when we fight? Chael Sonnen, undefeated, undisputed, the biggest draw in the history of the business, and on June 24th, nothing will change. I fight better than John Jones, I sound better than Sean Combs, and you can ask around because I'm even better than John Holmes.
Thank you. I'm Kristal Hart reporting from Madison Square Garden here in New York City. Hope you've enjoyed the show. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you at the fights.